Duels.
Y'all.
Yeah, an duels. I think karma came back to me when I
Sorry.
shat on it, and this is the only thing in the house is O'Duels.
Oh, no.
You know what? In these times of our privation, we do what we can. So enjoy that O'Duels, sir.
I might as well just get a bottle
Sorry.
of water. Yeah,
Listen, is it cold?
it is.
Then it serves its purpose.
Sure.
That's there are beers that you drink because they're delicious, and then there are beers that you drink because they're cold and they're beer.
And it gives us a...
Yes, and it gives us
yes.
the sound, which is very
Welcome to Podlander, Drunkcast, and Outlander podcast. I'm Allison.
I'm Julie.
That's Janine.
Why?
And that's...
And I'm
Amelia.
Hi.
We are talking about the Outlander finale, very casually, apparently, because that was like a lot of chaos, and now we're just comfortably chatting.
Well, it's because it's the thing we've been expecting for 6 seasons is finally happening. Like, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like we knew it was
witch
coming.
shit?
Yeah, we knew it was coming again after the first time it came. We knew it was going to continue to come because she continued to do like high-level operations on people.
I thought that you were going somewhere completely different than this because we knew that she came and we knew she would continue to come because she went back into the past where she could have all kinds of good sex again.
Boom.
Which she does. There is some good sex in this episode, Janine.
Is there?
Yeah.
There is some strong asexual content.
Hey, yo. So I'm watching episode 6 and episode 8, apparently.
Yes. And you
Yeah.
should do that maybe after we do the postseason wrap-up. We'll do a Janine watched.
Sure.
Janine, if you want to get real about it, you could watch this episode. But really, episode 6.
I mean,
That's the
episode
one.
6. Yeah,
It's
it's
the
in
jam.
order. Episode
That's
6
the one.
and then episode 8 if I got the time.
This one, we'll get to the sex scene. There were 2, and they were quite good.
Good.
Yeah. Butts, baby.
Butts. Butts and canvas. These are themes.
I smell butts and canvas.
Yeah.
Also, broken glass.
Oh my God, so much broken glass. Guess where the
Wait.
broken glass came from, Janine?
Wait, they fucking took revenge on the windows?
We're
To
gonna
the
get
windows!
to the door.
To the ridge.
That's what yeah, Amelia was there. I was like, yeah.
Till the glass drips down my balls. Because there's
Oh.
glass everywhere. Oh, skeet,
Look
skeet,
out,
motherfucker. Look out,
I was so scared
mad.
for him. I was really mad. I was like,
furious.
there is too much glass on the ground for that sweet baby to be walking around.
If you've got time to get yourself a snack, you have time to sweep up the glass so that your cat does not ruin himself and his little pads. How
Mhm.
dare.
How dare.
The audacity. I mean, listen, Claire and Jamie they're in the right this whole episode. They do some stupid things, but they're in the right. Except with one exception. Exactly one.
You got to
It's
get out
letting
that flash. You got to
letting
get out
that
that
sweet kitty.
flashlight and the vacuum cleaner so that the pieces of glass that you don't see with the naked eye shine brightly and you can zip it up.
And you know what? If you can't be bothered to clean up the glass, then you're not responsible enough to own all those windows.
Agreed.
Or a cat.
So true.
Or a cat.
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
so
I guess anyway.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Because I was fiddling with, like an old person, with the remote, and I missed kind of part of the flashback stuff. I did see that there was a flashback to Stephen Bonnet. Was that important?
Yeah, because the Stephen Bonnet scene was specifically then led into a scene of Brianna talking about how she was never going to be able to be sure who was Jamie's birth father.
And we did see that. Okay, cool. I didn't really catch anything out of the recap other than the Stephen Bonnet thing because I was heads down over my remote going, how does this thing work?
Yeah, the previously on it got the job done, but really it was the shock Stephen Bonnet situation.
And the title card misdirected me hard.
They had juked you?
I have
Yeah.
questions. We will revisit the title card next week for sure when we're doing the live show. May 7th at the Oasis in Rogers Park
Oh.
at 11:59 a.m. because it's not even noon. Come watch us. Come watch us do the Drunkcast Rolling for the Categories live at Chicago's Finest Dive Bar. We will talk about it more then because I want to go back and look at it some more because I've got theories and questions and concerns. But Janine,
Oi.
it's my favorite title card of the season.
Is it?
Misdirect or no, it's very cool. And it is some people whose faces we don't see in a diner in what is obviously the 60s.
Oh, that is a head juke. Holy hell.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then a beautifully manicured hand, like touching a menu as burgers go past, and we see that it's Carmini's Deli or Diner or whatever, but it's very specific. Like you see the name of the restaurant. But the manicure kind of pushed me a little bit in gayless vibes.
I also had gayless vibes.
Right.
We see some red hair, and I always have exactly one question when I see red hair.
Yeah.
Where did she get the red hair?
Exactly. So, where did she get the red hair? Did she get it from Jamie Fraser, or did she get it from whoever the fuck Gayless's insane parents are? Or is this a completely different redhead?
It also feels like this might be a crossover episode for us in Midnight Burger because my next question was like, was there an old timey radio in the background? What was going on? You know?
No, but there was the old timey waitress, and there were cheeseburgers, and you did see the old school sugar container and like all that.
Listen, this is a time travel show. That's a galactic time travel-ish show.
And you know what? It works because we're going to have to stay tuned next season for more adventures in the vastness.
Well, there's our cross.
S.6, y'all. Fucking adventures in the vastness for Jamie, not for right now. For Claire, she's got 6x6, bitch. She's got 6x6 in a cot. She doesn't have
What the
vastness.
fuck? It doesn't.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. So,
Sorry.
Janine, here we go. Are you ready for some oh shits, Janine?
Bring it. Let's do it.
If you remember, we last left the Frasers on the ridge preparing to take down a small army because for all of his many flaws, Browntown Ass Clown is aware that if you're going to go toe-to-toe with Jamie Fraser, you're going to need a lot of backup. Not a little backup. You're going to need a lot of backup. So he came with
including a North Carolina tank.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Which we see at one point.
Oh my God.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. So we see, first of all, we get the glorious, it's one of my favorite shots of the season, truly. This is the scene where we get the glorious shot in the credits of Claire marching down the weird in-betweensy hallway that the big house has with the gun. She looks like there's a lot of Claire being a straight badass in this episode.
Fuck
Badass, like action heroine. And Katrina is very good in this episode for all kinds of reasons. And it's not like it's an episode where she's such a badass because she's also incredibly vulnerable. But Claire does some like, remember Jungle Barbie Claire? It's like that, only it's like defending the homestead Barbie.
Or remember Knife in Boot Claire?
Yes.
Like,
is this an episode? Is this an episode setting up Katrina to be an action star as well as an Oscar winner at some point?
I wouldn't be mad about it.
Fuck yeah,
I would
dude.
not be mad about
Quick,
it. Somebody give
cast
her a
her.
franchise. Okay.
Go back in time, put her in a franchise. What franchise is she in?
Why do we need to put her in a? Let's think ahead.
Let's create
No,
one.
she's gonna be in the old guard across from Charlize Theron.
Old guard. I like that.
I like.
Or
That's kind of like time traveling badasses, right?
It's like a updated
she has-
Highlander. It's
yeah,
kind of
she
like an
has
updated
experience on-
Highlander.
She
Yeah.
has experience on both levels.
Yeah.
You know
Fuck
what?
yeah, dude.
Let's make
Fuck
it
it. I mean, I know it's already cast, but let's pretend it's not. Let's put Katrina in the Furiosa prequel. Come on.
Oh yeah.
What if
Oh
she
my-
was just hanging out in the Immortan Joe's like room? You know what I'm saying? What if she was an influence? What if she was a figure of support for young Furiosa coming in?
Yeah.
Oh my God, come on.
Or hear me out. Who runs Bartertown? Claire
Katrina Bell.
Elizabeth Beecham Randall Fraser runs Bartertown. That's who.
I can't wait for this. Oh, I can't wait for her career to blossom
Anyway,
even more.
there's a lot of like Claire.
Wow.
There's, in fact, let's start here. While Jamie is having his little standoff, his tete-a-tete with the less shitty Brown, which is not saying much. Hey, but you know who we don't see at all in this episode?
Extra shitty Brown. Zero.
The extra shit. Not once. He's gone.
He's
We
done.
have excised that ghost.
Fuck yeah.
Do you think he
Boom.
was trapped within the window panes, and so when they got shot out, he was released
Oh.
from the ridge, and that's why he's gone?
Very true. That's some straight David Lynch shit. This is the David Lynch season of Outlander, so I'm into that. Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened. Like Josie in the knob of wood, only it's the worser brown in the windows.
Oh, I thought this was a poltergeist reference because of the mirrors.
No,
well,
we do get a
mirrors
broken
come into
mirror
this
here
one too, though.
There's a mirror. Are we going through the looking glass on this? Good God.
Sort
No.
of. Well, so we do see one really good moment with Jamie here while he's in his front yard surrounded by about 40 men, heavily armed men, right?
Yeah.
We see him being Jamie, being a badass, but we also get this great shot that is very specific of him casing the exits without Lionel Brown. Not Lionel. What's this guy's? Is this Lionel? No, the other one's Lionel. Without the less shitty Brown really understanding, clocking what he's doing, because Jamie's so good at it, right? He's just like, I can sense there's an exit to my right. I can sense there's an exit to my left. Straight down the middle, no go. Like trying to
it's
figure out what
not-
he's gonna do, right?
It's not just the exits though, because he is looking like, okay, who is in
There's a
front
person
of me?
over
Like,
there.
who are there? There's over there. I've got Lizzie and the Beardsleys, and he has like psychic moment with Josiah Beardsley. They clearly said, you know what, we have some stuff to work out because you're secret double married, but let's pause on that and communicate
little help, please?
psychically, man to man. I'm gonna need you to take your wife and GTFO and then come back with reinforcements. And then there's a cool moment where Jamie just casually mentions to Claire that they need to make the terrible Browns think that Josiah is in there with them so that they don't know that he is off looking for help. Basically, so they don't go seeing where everybody else is. Mrs. Bug runs off being straight useless.
Oh my God, the bugs. Amelia's face just said it all. Ugh, I'm over
man.
it. They suck. They haven't done anything good.
It's a bummer because Mrs. Bug occasionally sucks in the books, but in the books, but in a fun way. Like sometimes you're like, honey, what are you doing? And then sometimes she's just cool. She's very judgy, but also great cook. And like passive aggressive. That appears to my Midwestern sensibilities. The cat is in her tunnel making noise. Apologies,
She's loving
y'all.
it.
Yeah, she loves that.
Have you checked it
tunnel
for
life.
glass?
I was gonna say, do you know who wishes they had a tunnel right now? Claire and
Right,
Jamie.
so- Oh, and Claire and Jamie. Yes. You know what? They wish they had a priesthood.
So, no surprise here. They hole up in the big house, and it is a standoff situation. Right? So, like,
It's very dramatic.
they send one of the dudes around the side of the house, and Claire can see him coming, so she turns around and she runs and goes to get a shotgun, and as she comes out of the room, he's already got her at the drop with a pistol, and she's like, don't shoot me, and she kind of like gives him the gun, here you go, and then as she does that, here's badass moment number one. From her right hip, boom, pistol, bam, blows him right in the
Oh,
gut. Hell
fucking
yes,
A.
she does. Don't come up in my house.
As we were watching, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. She's going to take the butt of the rifle, and he's going to reach out to get the gun, and she's going to, like, flip it and get him with the butt of the rifle. It's going to be great. No, she just straight shot him in the gut. Right in
was
the
like-
gut.
That was
Claire has studied at the Jamie Fraser Seminary School for justifying killing people in your mind.
Yeah.
Because there was no hesitation. There was no first do no harm shit. This was, we have to defend our home. Bye. Shoots him right in the gut. And
he
it
limps
seems
off.
like a dreadful way to die.
Yeah.
Because spoiler, this man's name is Ezra. He sucks. And he eventually dies. But this episode is an hour long, and it comes near the end of it. So that man just rides a horse with a fucking musket ball in his stomach for a while, and you know who does nothing to help him? Claire Fraser. Let's give her a round of applause. You know what? She saved a lot of lives in her day. This is
This one
not
can
one.
go. No,
Yeah.
this one can
Jamie is like, listen, there's nothing good. You treat him, nothing good's gonna come of it. Either he lives and they still fucking hate you, or he dies and then they say it's your fault.
They extra hate you, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't
happens, by the
know,
way.
I don't know whether or not they can hate her any more than they do.
Oh,
They really-
can.
They really, well, I guess they can, but they really hate her.
They haven't
Les
even
Shitty
seen
Brown
her wear.
really hates her.
Excuse me, they haven't even seen her wear pants yet.
Oh my God.
So their house is under siege, is what's going
Yes.
on here. Because
And this
Oh,
is
yeah.
when I was like, bet you're regretting some of those windows right now.
Oh yeah.
A.
Here's the thing, Janine. I need you to understand that of all of the hazards that they experience in the first half of this episode as they're in this standoff, the looming threat, of course, is fire, because we've been teasing Chekhov's fire for seasons at this point. But
It is our
imminent
Godot
danger
for
is
sure.
not the musket balls. It's not the pack of angry white men. It is the fact that every time they shoot through a window, glass goes everywhere.
Yeah.
There is so much glass.
That's-
You're imagining how much glass there is, and I promise you are underestimating
I
the
mean,
amount of broken
I'm
glass.
currently thinking of Die Hard, the best.
I was
going to
say,
ever.
you'd be thinking about
Yeah.
Die Hard.
Like, basically, like, the moment you stop realizing that the bullets are not the thing we're concerned about anymore, it's that he has no fucking shoes.
Yes. And you know who else has no shoes? Adso the cat has no
Oh
fucking
my
shoes.
God.
God damn it. I can't believe you reminded me. I was so mad.
I was really mad.
Yeah.
The short version is Claire is like running around getting guns. She and
She's
Jamie are a
loading while-
well-oiled machine.
Yeah, she's loading while he's shooting, and I was like, this is like me and Neil in the kitchen.
Fuck you.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
we've been married. You know what, Julie? That is a great analogy. It's the
Mhm.
exact same energy. It's like, this is a thing that we do together a lot, so we have a routine and it's seamless. Only it's not kitchen, it's murder.
standoff.
Yeah, it's like it's danger, right? So Jamie, first of all, Jamie is in a fist fight with like 6 people at once.
Yes,
and
as he does.
wins. And he only needs an assist from Claire once when she shoots somebody in the tush.
Maybe that's when she comes out in that breezeway shot that we've seen in the credits.
Oh,
is when
okay.
she
Yeah.
comes to protect him from them trying to fight him, and then he takes cover from her shooting and runs in the house. That's when the standoff starts.
Cool.
Yeah. They flip up their big beautiful table without taking off the clearly expensive ceramics
Crockery
on the
just
table first.
smashed
Everywhere.
everywhere.
They're regretting every choice they ever made in terms of their home furnishings. They're wishing they had just stuck with a little cabin.
R.I.P.
rough.
decanter stopper. Because a
Oh.
musket ball hits their whiskey setup and everything explodes. And I'm like, oh, there goes the cameo for best non-sentient being acting this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're just the house is surrounded. Everybody's shooting in. They're shooting out. Jamie's hitting people occasionally. Like, he's pretty good about it, but they're so outnumbered,
Mm.
and nobody's shown up to help them yet.
We get a lot of Claire and Jamie talking about their options. And Jamie, because Jamie is Jamie, cool as a cucumber. Here's what's going to happen. Either people are going to come or they're not. Josiah went up. Mrs. Bug got out. Lizzie got out. Lizzie and one. Oh, also, if you ever want the pleasure of telling a joke with Sam Heughan in unison, normally a predictable punchline, not my thing. But I guarantee you, a significant portion of the Outlander viewing population had the exact same experience I did, which was Jamie says, "Oh, Lizzie got out. She went off. She's safe. She's with her husband." Beat one of them.
One of them.
I promise you, everybody was like, one of them. Simultaneously, one of them. One of her husbands. One of them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk about, well, they're going to light the house on fire to smoke us out or burn us alive. And obviously we can't go with them because this is just an excuse to get revenge on us because
He found out that Marcelly killed his brother somehow. Les Shitty Brown found out that Shitty Brown had been killed by Marcelly.
Oh.
We get like just a little drop of that, just like
Yeah.
ever since he found out, and it's like, okay, well, thanks for the update, but
Yeah.
we do find out that he could be specifically out for revenge here.
Also, I can't decide if the guy that plays the less awful Brown, which still makes him very awful, I can't decide if that guy is great or terrible or both. Because he has this facial expression that Richard Brown, by the way, this actor's name is Chris Larkin. He has a facial expression that makes me want to pop him one right in the jaw all the time. And it's when he does the thing where he like rolls in his lips, like, we don't need to have it be like this, Mr. Fraser. Like, I don't. There's something about it, like that it just makes me want to like bash him right in the kisser.
Could it be because he looks like a turtle, which then reminds you of Mitch McConnell?
Like murderous turtle.
You know what?
Yes.
Because that's what that reminded me of just now.
He's a murder turtle.
He's a murder turtle.
He's a murder turtle. He's a murder turtle. Yep. It's real. I'll say it. Murder turtle.
It's real bad.
I can't do you. It doesn't have to be like this, Mr. Fraser. And then he inhales his whole mouth. It's really weird.
He eats a full head of lettuce.
Yeah,
But it's
real
very
slowly.
effective. He is unnerving, unsettling. Good job, Chris Larkin. But wow, I would have given a lot of money for just one alternate facial expression. Just like one thing where he wasn't going with his own lips. Like, it was driving me nuts.
He does have the fortitude to try to stop the shooting now that we've been
Oh.
going on for about 30 minutes shoot off.
Mm.
He comes out with a big white flag and Jamie takes a shot at him like, back off, bitch. And fucking Brown's like, wait, don't you know what a surrender flag is? And Jamie's like, get the fuck off my land. And then shoots real
Jamie
close to him.
says, he says,
Yes.
if I wanted you dead, you'd be coolin'.
You'd be coolin' this minute. You'd be
This
coolin'
minute.
this minute. And I was like,
You'd be
that's a
coolin'.
burn.
That is a really sick burn. It's a good Jamie line. But he shoots him, like, he shoots it right in front of both of his feet, and then he pops the hat right out of his hand.
Out of his
It's
hand.
great.
And it's like, duh. So what do you want? And so like Lionel comes forward and what does he say about it? He's just like, just let her out. Just send her out here. We just want to take her to the court in Salisbury. Is that the name of the town they're trying to go to?
Yeah.
Mm.
The closest town with a court.
Because that's where the stake is.
Whatever. I mean,
Here's the
it's
thing.
thinly veiled.
You know how there
Nothing?
are
Salisbury?
there are people.
Oh, but then steak for a witch, though. See, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
the Salisbury steak.
Oh.
And yeah.
it's got
We're getting
it's got
vernacular
layers
It's an
like an onion.
Onion.
like an onion. Yeah,
Onion.
thank you. I'm feeling very Shrekky today, so yeah.
We'll get there. So
Oh,
They-
I just
they're
felt
doing
so
this
bad.
standoff, and basically what Brown is saying is, we don't mean any harm. She's just a murderer, so we've got to take her to Salisbury for a steak, and also so that she can stand trial. It's just a totally normal thing to do. But here's Brown's first mistake. You know how there are cops that are not apologies cops, who are clearly they like. People in general, it doesn't have to be cops, who get off on authority and
No, that's a
being
cop,
like,
but that's definitely they turn into cops
Right.
most often.
Les
yeah.
Shitty Brown
Yes.
is like the poster child of that.
yes, but very specifically, it's a power trip, and it is
Yeah.
nefarious, but it does not actually seem to be what Jamie is saying it is, which is an excuse
Yeah.
to like string her up. He doesn't seem to think he's going to need help stringing her up. He just seems to want to let the law do his business, right? He's going to take the stupid witch and her stupid slutty short hair to a town and let the court do the work for him, and she'll hang.
Yeah.
However, to get the assistance he needs to make this happen, he has talked a lot of shit and stirred up a lot of goss about the Frasers. So as a result, he's got a rabid pack of morons who think they've got a witch and a fornicator in front of them. This is important because eventually the inmates are running the asylum.
Mm.
And because Richard Brown is no Jamie Fraser, he's not a leader of men, he has zero control over the situation. And you can watch, again, I've decided Chris Larkin is good in this episode. You can watch him get progressively more like, shit, what the fuck do I do
fucked up.
now? I need
Yeah.
these people to chill. Why are they so? Oh, it's me. I'm the reason they're so worked
It's
up.
me. It's me.
Shit.
Oh, I did
Um,
this.
Yeah.
Oops.
So the situation gets progressively worse and worse. The Frasers, they have a little meal. Claire tells Jamie about the grand American tradition of executing people but giving them a Big Mac first. So they talk about last meals, which it's a terrible fucking concept, but it's a good scene. They have some nice little romantical moments. They have a very book stuff conversation about how Jamie, this is something that is actually mentioned in the most recent book a couple of times, how a soothsayer told Jamie that he was a cat and that he had 9 lives. So Jamie asked Claire how many times she thinks he's come close to death, and they have a little chat about how many times Jamie's almost died. Which, presumably...
Spoiler,
this
close
is
to
one
9.
of them. No, I think it's like 5.
Really? So he's only
Yeah.
halfway through? Just a little bit more than halfway through?
Well, it's fun because he's like, no, I didn't almost die then. Nope, that one doesn't count. Nope, that was just bad. That doesn't count. He did miss one, though, because when Dougal popped him one in the head, that should have counted. And in the book, it does. So there's Dougal popping him in the head. There's Wentworth. There's
Culloden.
Leary shooting him. Culloden. There's Leary shooting him. That's 4. There's his back. They mentioned his back. That's 5. And I think that... Oh, and the snake. That's 6.
6, 9, dudes.
Nice! So they have that nice chat. It's very lovely. Claire takes a little nap. We see Adso walking on broken glass. Which
I
is
really
not
was
okay.
really mad. I was mad.
And
And
then-
then we cut to Bree and Roger.
Oh,
Just-
yeah. I
And-
thought we were getting to...
Look, I am here for their journey and their vacation because, as is proven in this episode, vacation sex can sometimes be the best sex.
Nice.
But also, I don't really care about them this episode, and I really wish that they weren't there.
Oh, see, I think it's important that we have a little break. This episode is an hour and 3 minutes long. And if instead of being an hour and 3 minutes long, it was 52 minutes of nonstop being terrified for Jamie and Claire, I think that would have been too much.
It would
I
be
think
too
would
much.
have-
It just always felt like it took me out of it every time we went to one of their scenes. And I was kind of just like, oh, okay, fine. But then you learned things and picked stuff up in those scenes, but it took me out of what I was really paying attention to.
I sort of liked it also as like those oblivious little buttholes. They have no idea, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yes,
they're
yes.
just cozily having some wagon sex.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about when they tell their kid he's a time traveler.
Yep.
And like
Finding
having
out
some
that
nice chats.
Roger is actually his father.
Wait, no, don't spoil.
legitimately.
Don't spoil.
why?
That's not for a while yet.
Yeah, but everybody who's listening to the show knows that that's coming.
Except for Janine.
That's such
Well,
good
you'll
news.
find out. Yes,
How
it
they
is.
figure? Did they DNA test?
You'll
Wait.
see. No,
You'll get
see.
there. No.
Bree
They just
invents
did a DNA test.
testing.
She's been
Bree
trying to
turns
one up that
out-
match situation.
He's
It turns out-
100% that dad.
Awesome.
No. That's a
Well, the
a
host of
famous book scene. So
the
we'll
host.
get there.
Okay, but the host of that show, now that Bree's invented this, is going to be Les Shitty Brown. He's going to be on there, whipping up a storm like not Seinfeld.
No, I'm sorry. There is a messy bitch who lives for drama in this show, but it is actually not Richard Brown. It's bargain rate Clive Owen.
Get fucked face.
No.
Oh no. Oh, the
Leather
you're
cape
right. The
Crombie?
cooler, but not
Fucking Hiram
cooler.
Crombie.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah. No, not Hiram Crombie. Hiram Crombie does not live for drama. Hiram
It's the
Crombie
guy-
has a stick up his ass. It's the
It's
guy.
the younger guy, the one that gets
Caplet.
him on. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
The one who is slightly less deader than Ezra. He because he doesn't die, and also that's the name of the band, but better. It's better than Ezra is a
Oh, we
band.
got it. We
Thanks,
got
Julie.
We,
Okay, we
you,
got
it definitely was. You be better. Damn it.
it. No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
At least you
I'm-
reached for it.
I'm
still
I'm
trying.
really disappointed in myself.
You reached right around, which is a thing that that Brianna and Roger do a little of here.
Hey
Mhm.
If the wagon's rocking.
It's
It
the
is
tent.
wagon sex.
Oh.
No,
But
it's
it's
a
a
tent.
tent in a wagon, isn't it?
No, it's a
I
tent.
thought the tent was on the wagon.
I think they're on the ground, aren't they? I can't really tell.
If the tent's a rockin', check the support struts.
That is the most Eagle Scout bullshit I've ever heard you say. If this tent's a rockin', check the support what?
Support struts. You can't.
Oh my god.
If it
It's
is
too
a
late
wagon,
to
that
fire
makes
him.
sense. If it is, it is too late to fire. Shit.
Damn it.
If it is a wagon, that makes sense
Yeah.
because it's echoed by the witch wagon, the sin wagon that we're going to be on later.
Sin wagon.
I mean,
Yeah.
Brianna is support strutting her stuff in this scene.
Yes, she
for
is.
Sure.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so basically, the first time we see Roger and Bree, they're having a little chat about how history is happening right now. Did you know the American Revolution is happening concurrently with the events of this season? Just in case you missed it. They remind you, Lexington, Concord, blah, 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 blah. So they have a chat about that, and then they talk about when they're going to tell Jimmy that he's a time traveler. Roger says the most stereotypically parental thing I think we've ever heard on this show, when he's like, well, there is one downside to telling Jem that he's a time traveler. He might leave us someday. And I'm like, yeah, except for he doesn't know how to future. Like, no, he's not. He doesn't know how, he's not going to be like, I'm 16, Mom. It's time that I go learn how to drive a car. That's not.
It's
No.
like reverse Rumspringa. Or it's not even reverse
time for me
Rumspringa.
to
It's
go
just
back
intense
to
Rumspringa.
the future.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
the
intense
most
Rumspringa.
Rumspringa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Where he's
Oh.
going, he won't need roads. In fact, you know what? Where Claire and
support
Jamie are
struts.
going, they don't need roads. We get some good wagon shots. Anyway, we go back to
Stand
Jamie
off at
and-
Window Mountain is what I'm.
Oh
Let
god.
me look.
On one level, it's good that they have all these windows because they have places to stick their guns out of to shoot at people, but it also means that all those people out there can shoot in more effectively.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's
Um,
one little thing. It's so small, but I'm so haunted by it that I'm going to make you listen to me talk about it. So, like,
Great.
right, Janine, we were telling you that, like, Jamie flips the table and, like, he does things like he moves an armoire in front of the window, just, like, trying to block any glass. But there's one window that I think is in, like, I don't fucking know, a parlor, where Claire's like, oh shit, I need to close these shutters. And there's no good way to do it. And so she gets this, like, fireplace poker with a little tiny hook. And then is trying to, like, reveal as little of her hand as possible while trying to use the hook to grab the latch of the shutter. And it's so fast, but it is so stressful. Like, it reminds me of, like, what was that thing at the Tower of London where, like, you put your hand in the hole and if you got the password wrong, they'd chop your hand off? Like, it felt very much like that. Oh, sorry, Lucy Worsley entered the chat. But yeah.
Yeah.
I love Lucy Worsley so much, you guys. That was just
yeah,
for
like,
me.
that was just for you. It was a gift I gave to you and also to Scotty.
Is
But
that
yeah,
the
it's just
same window where Claire does that badass thing where she wheels the chair around and puts the big long shotgun on it so she
I
can
think so.
stabilize it? So see,
Mhm.
there's another badass Claire moment happens in Standoff
Yeah.
at Window Mountain.
Listen, I want her to be the next Die Hard star. Good God, like she's.
You know
killing
what?
it.
Make Katrina Balfe the next James Bond. Sorry, Sam Heughan. No, absolutely
yeah.
not.
I'd watch
Katrina.
it.
I'd watch that. That'd be great. Oh man.
And then this is the scene that we were talking about with the food where Jamie asked Claire to make him a sandwich. And then I wrote, y'all, I am terrible at notes. Sorry, I really am. The older I get, the worse I get at it because I'm too intent on watching the show and I forget to write down important things. And because I didn't read the book, I don't know what fucking happens.
So Marsley leaves the ridge and everything goes to shit, and Julie
that.
is finished with her FedEx notebook and everything goes to shit. Is
You're
the
right.
FedEx notebook your Marsley?
Oh my God. It did have stickers on it. I had personalized it. I'd made it my own. This one is very neutral.
You know what, Julie? We did get a sticker in the mail from our dear friend Kiki the Wise.
Yes, I need to put those on here. You know what? Maybe that's it. No. I'm not putting that on Kiki. I just can't take notes anymore. I'm terrible.
No, what I'm saying is you can begin to fix this problem with a little help from our friend Kiki the Wise, who
You're
sent
right.
us a sticker of an eggplant that says unsolicited on it.
Eggplant is going right here. Yeah.
Great. The very
and
special
then-
Outlander notebook.
Speaking of special Outlander notebook, let's go ahead and turn a page to Bree and Roger's maybe hottest sex scene they've ever had.
Oh.
And it starts so badly.
Yes.
Mhm.
It was the least
starts-
sexy.
Yes.
Roger has been doing some more woodworking.
Ah.
And he's upped his game from giving Jemmy a plane to giving Jemmy a car.
With wheels
which-
that turn.
With wheels
Oh.
that turn.
Clever. Pinewood Derby.
Book shit. They call it a vroom. So they have this chat, honestly, very recognizable conversation where they're reminiscing about cars and the weekend we almost broke up. And she says, "You almost swerved us off the road." And he says, "Yeah, that's because someone wanted to kiss me when we were on the road." This part of it, good. The problem is he's wheeling the car around her body like that is sexy. And it is not.
It's not.
Couple of reasons. First of all, that's your child's toy. You gotta fuck with your child's toy. 1, 2. Listen, I know that you're good at the woodworking, but that thing is still gonna give her vajay splinters.
Yeah.
3, a rolling motion is not what you want. It's not. You don't want a rolling. It's not a rolling that you want. Am I wrong?
I don't know. She's got that enormous pregnant belly right now, so maybe that shit feels good. Who knows?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So we do get to
That's true.
see her pregnancy, and then the most relatable and even as somebody who's never been pregnant, and hilarious moment of the sex scene is when they have to negotiate the position they're going to take because she's so pregnant she can't fuck like him on top. So Bree takes charge, gets on top, and it is nice.
It's hot.
Yes, because we all know that Bree, because of past trauma, has been having a very difficult time allowing herself to relax into the sexual act. This,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
right. Well,
Yeah.
she does here. And I think we can all say we're very happy that vacation sex once again wins the day, and Bree finally has an orgasm. I think we're led to believe that, right?
Oh yeah, like
Mhm.
in a. Oh yeah, she definitely has an orgasm. I'm seeing if they, in the production credits for the season, if they list the intimacy coordinator. They do.
They do.
not.
They're in there somewhere. I've seen their name.
I'm sorry. I mean on the list that they sent me.
Oh, got it.
So I don't
Mhm.
have it to hand. I will find it before we do the season awards next week because we get 2 sex scenes in this episode. They are both brief but like potent. They are emotionally
Hot
driven.
quickies.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of them is playful and the other is very somber, but they're both hot and they're both very focused on the act and not the bodies. If that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like
Yeah.
it's about the sex, it's not about the nudity. They're
Yeah.
naked, but that's
Yeah.
not the point.
A
There's
lot of close up on
like,
butts. Yes, we're seeing the
like-
moving
butts.
parts.
like joining.
Mhm.
It's hot.
I think
It's
It's
hot.
like it's like
It's a
like
change
a
for
belly
Outlander.
button to knee. A lot of
The
belly
fuck
button to
hinge.
knee action.
Yeah.
the
The
fuck
fuck
hinge.
hinge.
Fuck
The
hinge.
fuck
Yes,
hinge.
the fuck hinge.
I was gonna, yeah,
Mhm.
that's it, because that's like universal. That's the fuck hinge. We're all like, that's the part. That's
Hell-
the part.
Amelia, thank you for your
That's
service.
great.
There's also a lot of like fingers gripping thighs.
Yeah,
Like
Mhm.
flesh. There's
butt
flesh.
grabs, fingers
Yeah.
sinking
Grabs.
into.
Ooh.
that's
Yeah.
the
hot
that's the
shit.
fuck Velcro.
And credit to Sophie Skelton. Brianna looks very much like she's enjoying herself in a completely unself-conscious way. It does not
Mhm.
seem remotely performative. It seems like that woman is experiencing intense pleasure. Not for Roger, not for us. It's like
For her.
it's really good. Also, her accent has gotten better.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
she
100%.
She's
It's
gotten
gotten
better the
better.
whole time.
Yeah.
Every season she gets a little bit more like I really like her now, and I know that we were kind of mean to her and unfair in the beginning, but it's because we expected so much out of that character, and I think especially book readers at first were really like, ugh, but now I think
Yeah.
I
she's
wonder if
got it.
she or the production. This is kind of a broad question, but we've seen Jamie get or Sam Hewen get so much better, and then now we're also experiencing that with Sophie Skelton. I wonder if there's like for lack of like a more elegant way to say it, like acting classes or things that they're like going through to like improve
I
as
think
they're
it's
going
just
through.
To me, it feels like they're just becoming more familiar with the characters that they're playing and also more familiar with the people that they are acting against. So there is this.
Well, and-
okay, sure.
And none of them were particularly big stars, so they're also getting more comfortable on camera. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they're
Sure.
getting more comfortable with what they're doing.
Yeah.
But lest we forget, they all, well, most of them, attended one of the world's finest acting schools, the Tobias Menzies Academy of Jacting.
True.
They all got to witness that masterclass for a while.
True.
P.S. Little sneak preview: some excellent jacting in this episode.
Oh, nice.
Some really good jacting.
Nice.
But from someone who didn't overlap with one Frank Randall, it's good jacting though. Really good jacting coming up. I had one more note about the early Roger and Bree stuff. At one point, Roger says something that sounds like Roadhead, and maybe that is why I thought they were in the wagon. Because I was like, Roadhead? It's funny.
Because I remember it being a triangle. I remember the shape of it being triangular, right? Because her hand went down it like this. So to me, that means it's a tent because the wagon would be rounded.
Right. I thought it was a tent on a wagon.
Maybe
like
it
off
was.
the ground.
But their wagon wasn't a covered wagon. They just
'Cause
put their
it's not
tent in the wagon.
It's not a
Got it.
Constaga. It's not a we're not on the Oregon Trail yet.
We're-
so-
Conestoga?
Conestoga.
Thank you. I
And
never
also,
said
we're
that
about
word
to
out
be in
loud,
one
just
of
played
those.
the game.
Oh, we're about to experience some top-notch Oregon Trail shit.
we're
Are
going to
we?
be in that wagon, sir.
Ooh, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
Ooh,
worry
are
about
we
it.
talking dysentery or are we talking like floating the wagon and
I
fording?
mean, all of it.
Oh,
One
Okay.
other,
Baby.
one other thing that we should mention about the Bree and Roger half of this story is we get a lot of very cute shots of Jemmy, in which, I wonder if this is intentional. He's itching his head. Itching.
Oh,
And he
no.
says "uh-oh" a
Itching.
lot. You see that little kid go "uh-oh," and it's just like Bree and Roger are like, whatever. Like they they never really hear him complaining about his somewhat
Oh,
mild
no.
discomfort. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
No.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
I'm scared. I'm scared for Jenny.
All right.
I'm nervous for Jenny.
So now we see that some more people have showed up on the ridge. It's the Fisher folk, and they are led by my friend and yours, everyone's favorite recurring stick in the mud. You're gonna see a lot of him. Let's give it up for Hiram Crombie, ladies and gentlemen. One of the great
Shit
plot
stirrers.
convenient characters. No, here's the thing about Hiram Crombie. He's not stirring shit. He just has a massive superiority complex and absolutely no sense of fun.
He
He's
likes
just-
the mess, though. He likes to get into the mess. He feels like the mess is his business.
Because he's bothered by it.
Yes.
He doesn't love it. He is bothered by it. But because he's
But
got
he
a
loves
giant
it.
stick up his ass, when he shows up, Jamie's like, whew, okay, guys, everything's going to be fine. Because here's the thing about Hiram Crombie. He sucks, but he hates this shit. He wants everything to be above board. He's like, no, I won't drink your illicit whiskey. No, I won't do any of this. I like laws and rules. And I
I won't
don't
agree
like when
to-
people...
Extrajudicial murder.
So it's Hiram Crombie who sucks, but he sucks for good. So he shows up and Jamie's like, whew, okay, what a relief. And Claire's like, no, this isn't good. Hiram hates us. And he's like, yeah. But you know what he hates more? Illegal shit. So it's a good sign. However, he has brought with him a bunch of fisher folk who are very into screaming, she's a witch, burn the witch.
Oh.
And we get
This
the
is bad.
first stone throw.
Mm-hmm. The first, Janine. The
first of many stones being thrown at one Claire
Literal
Fraser.
Who lives in
stone?
a glass house?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God.
She's a witch. Stone her, burn her, drown her. Right? Ugh.
Yeah.
I think this is my moment. I want to see if I remember if I stored it in my short-term memory, but I did make up a song about the police complex in this episode.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if I still got it. Okay. Something along the lines of, your wife is out there whoring. I think that she's a witch. Golly Moses, I'm a little bit show, Officer Browntown. I'm really upset. Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you. Just, a lot of Officer Browntown, Officer Crombie. Officer Crombie! Oh my god, it was right there the whole time.
There.
But I
Right
first made it up
there.
about Officer Browntown, and so that's where, Officer Crombie. Okay, Officer Crombie. I'm really upset. Allison is unwell.
I've got
heard
one.
Allison.
No, you've delighted me. I've got one. She's a na and she is a crone. No, she's not. She just came through the stones. Through the stones. She came through the stones.
Oh, God. You guys have found each other in a way that I love.
This is not the only music theater joke we're going to make this episode. I just need to warn
God,
everyone.
No.
not even close.
No.
So, if the drama wasn't enough at this point, Crombie coming up and being like, all right, fuck it. You need to come out of this house now so that we can just get this done. Let's keep it above board. I vow that you will not be hurt. Maybe you should go with your wife on this journey, right? And then, like I said, the drama's real high. Get fucked faces with the Fisher people, and he's real mad. And then with the absolute most drama comes Tom Christie.
Wait. First, get fuck face. It's like, no. Who cares about her? It's him, that tall, handsome man. He killed my sister and her baby. Reasons. But I don't know if you're aware, but when men cheat on their wives, the society really holds them to account. That's not a totally normal thing that happens all the time at all.
Something's up with him, and something's up with Tom.
Yeah. So then, the crowds part.
Here he
And
comes.
and into the scene. At this point during the crowdcast, I said, "Here we go! It's Emmy time!" And he's not going to win an Emmy, which there's no justice for. It's too subtle a performance.
Mark
But in
Lewis
walks-
Jones.
Mark
Let's
Lewis
start.
Jones strolls through the crowd. The crowd parts, and in walks the most diminished Tom Christie. He looks like he has lost weight.
His hair is all
He's-
frizzy and like he just looks
Like he looks broken. And he shows up and he's like, okay, if anybody deserves justice here, it's me. So I guess I'll just go with them. Yeah, I'm gonna go with them. I'm
to
gonna
make
vouch
sure
for their
nothing
safety.
happens to them. Right. Mm-hmm.
So everybody's cool with that, right? Me, remember me with the dead daughter? Me, that was me. I've got the dead daughter, and I'm gonna say they're gonna go to trial, and I'll go on this road trip. That's gonna suck. But it's late, so maybe we could just leave in the morning. Huh?
Can we stay?
Everybody okay with
they get
that?
one more night in their bed, you know? But
Is
there's
everybody cool with
something-
that? Great.
There's something behind his eyes. Obviously, he does look diminished. He looks really tired, but there's also something that is almost like concern is not the right word. Like he
No, I think
doesn't.
concern.
He doesn't want Claire to go through this. There's something.
He is disturbed. He is
Yeah.
very disturbed by what's happening and also looks exhausted, but it is very clear that he is doing what he thinks is the only thing possible to try to diffuse the situation, which he wants to diffuse. It sure doesn't seem like he thinks that Claire murdered his daughter.
No, it is clear that he does not believe that, and that maybe he has more information than he is sharing.
It's
He's so
it's
good.
really good. And Katrina and Sam are also really good in this scene because they are both looking at him and they're having very different reactions and none of it's spelled out. Right? At one point in the episode, Claire says something like, what is Tom's angle in this? Like, what does he get out of this? And Jamie doesn't say anything. But it is obvious that they both have thoughts about what might be going on here, and they're not the same thoughts. Those thoughts aren't spelled out, and I'm not going to spell them out because I've read the book. But they're both like, what's the deal? What? Shouldn't he be the most mad?
WTF,
But here he
mate.
is.
Yeah.
Stepping in to help? Why?
Yes.
And right on time. And by on time, I mean like 4 hours late.
Yeah. All those windows could have been saved, Tom.
No, not Tom. Up comes Kenny Lindsay and like the
that's right.
the handful of ridge folk who can be counted on to hang with the Frasers show up. And I was like,
It's like
oh,
6
great.
dudes. It's not enough.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, folks. It would have been helpful 90 windows ago.
Yeah.
So,
So Claire and Jamie go to bed.
it should be mentioned that the Fisher folk are real peeved about this turn of events, and so are the people in the Browntown Ass Clowns posse of morons who aren't Richard Brown, who doesn't seem happy about it, but is fine. He's fine with this. This is a fine solution, as long as they don't have to die while Jamie Fraser slowly kills one of them at a time.
And as long as they get that bitch to the courthouse, so they can take care of it for him, right?
Yes.
That's really
He's
all he
fine
cares
with
about.
that. So we retreat inside the big house because it's time to get in the big bed and have a big old fun. But first, Claire walks to her beautiful, unnecessarily beautiful dressing table.
Her
So
vanity.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
It survived the attack.
Sin.
Well,
Well,
she looks down at the top of it, and there's just a little ball, and it's a musket ball, and she picks it up, and we see that there's a crack in the corner of it. It's been shattered. So somebody, I don't know who, but one of those buttholes with a gun is about to have 7 years of bad luck. It's not
my
great.
guess is Ezra. Although that's too short for 7 years.
Yeah, you know, neither Ezra nor less deader than Ezra is going to have 7
years
of
worth
bad
of
luck.
anything.
Well,
maybe it's Richard Brown is about to have 7 years of bad luck.
Well, Ezra's
good.
gonna die. Ezra's gonna die, by the end of this episode, but he's still gonna be around for 7 years. He'll still be inside the body.
He'll be decomposing for 7 years.
Yeah, he has to experience every worm.
So this is the somber sex scene out of the two, right? Because the vacation sex tent boning was pretty hot. This is hot too, but it's way more. Could be
You
the
know
last
what?
time we get to touch each other in this
Claire-
way.
And Jamie are very good at somber hot sex. They've had a lot of somber hot sex because they've had a lot of goodbye sex. And
That's a
this
weird-
is like,
Yeah,
they
th-
clearly think this might be their very last night together in this bed. So Claire looks at the damage to the mirror and she says, "We have a beautiful house." And Jamie says, "You'll see it again," but maybe he doesn't believe it. They get into bed. Katrina has one tear going down her beautiful face. And she turns and looks at Jamie and he looks at her and they kind of smush each other's faces. It's very sad.
Oh, that's like Hook.
Smush.
She tells him
very-
she's really scared. Like she admits vulnerability to him about how scared she is, and
Which
then
is
they
so nice to see after this whole season of Claire not saying shit about how afraid she is.
Yeah.
They're obviously really connected, and the sex reflects that.
They try. There's this two close-ups on either one of their hands touching the other person, and it's almost like they're trying to memorize. Like you can see them
Yeah.
trying to memorize the way each other feels through their fingers. It's very evocative.
It's beautiful.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that gave me chills just thinking about it.
And
Oh
then
my
once
gosh.
again, we get a lot of close-ups on the sex hinge this time.
Yeah. Fuck hinge FTW.
Buck hinge. This episode.
The
Oh
golden
my God.
pamplemousse goes to the fuck
Fuck
hinge.
hinge.
I just think we should all feel so lucky that little deaths don't count towards Jamie's 9 lives.
Yeah,
am
because
I
if
right?
little death counted towards Jamie's 9 lives,
He'd already be
would've
dead.
died.
No, he'd be cool in this minute.
Ayo.
Oh, he would have been cooling back in
Like-
season 1,
Like 20
folks.
years ago. He would have been cooling when he was like 26.
It's a really beautiful scene. It's a really good sex scene. I honestly maybe not the most memorable, certainly not the hottest, but one of the most well done, very specific, rooted in emotion, still hot, but it's not about that. It's the opposite of gratuitous. It is a completely believable, understandable, narratively justified sex scene that also happens to be hot because these people are hot.
It
It's
reminds
like-
me of when they fucked on the stones right before she went back.
Yes.
Because it
Yes.
was that sex scene, that was the famous guacamole sex scene. Because it was so fast and like just because it felt that that's what would happen in that moment. That's exactly what would happen if you were in that space with that person at that time. And this,
And
is the same.
not fast.
They have the
though.
whole night, right? But they know they have the whole night in their room, and they can take this time to actually like the whole thing, like memorizing each other. Like it,
Yeah.
it was good.
Also, this is Jamie Payne, who also directed the last episode, is the director. There is a beautiful shot beautiful, where we've gone away from the sad bone and we go back to the level of broken glass, and we hear Claire moaning, and it sounds like she's having an incredible orgasm and sobbing at the same time, while the camera sort of like glides over the floor covered in broken glass. It's beautiful. It's really, really well done. Jamie Payne, man, he really knocked this shit out of the park. Good. He is a good director. All the directors this season have been choice.
Yeah.
Some good
There's a window
directors.
pane joke there, and I just couldn't get there.
Yeah.
Anyway, Patty.
But Claire,
all
but
right.
Claire got there. Claire got there.
Well,
Oh,
she's
presumably repeatedly.
obviously. Next morning, guess it's time to go. And this is where I was like, all aboard the Sin Wagon. So Claire and Jamie are put in this Conestoga, like stereotypical looking canvas covered wagon. And there's like two people, armed people in the wagon with them. And then there's a whole half of the guys are behind the wagon to make sure they don't escape. And then half guys in front. Like, they are really intent on Jamie Fraser not busting out of this shit with his wife or without.
They clearly think he is going to Kool-Aid Man right through all of them.
Yes!
Like, so there are more men than necessary. And you could say
Yes.
Jamie being like, I mean,
I get it.
this is cute.
I mean, if there were 5 less, I could do it.
I'm flattered, but I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm with my wife.
Also, the less shitty Brown comes around to the back of the wagon, and he says, "Now don't you be going anywhere, because this gentleman here in the nice leather capelet, he's not Clive Owen, but he looks like him. He and his soon-to-be dead friend Ezra, they're going to be watching you the whole time." So it's very much the production going, this is the tertiary character that you need to pay attention to. This one, this guy. You can ignore all the other guys. They're just guys. This one is the one. So that's when we meet Bargain Rate Clive Owen. He has a very stylish little leather capelet, but he also just he's real thirsty for blood. He's another one who's getting off on the power. He's very into being the one to like menace them. Ezra probably would be too, but Ezra has
He is in real
Doomface.
pain.
He
A
has
flesh
lead-
wound.
He probably has lead
Yeah.
poisoning by now. Goodness.
Just, it's not good. Not looking
Yeah.
good for old
He's-
Ezra.
And Claire knows this site because, by the way, she watched Jamie get so sick that he fell the fuck off of his horse way back at the beginning of the show. So she's familiar with what it looks like when somebody is not doing well on horseback. So she says, "Oh, maybe I should treat their wounds." And Jamie's like, "Fuck no, you shouldn't. No, absolutely not." And she's like, "Yeah, okay. It's great. It's so, you know what that is? Growth."
Yeah. I don't have to fix that person.
Okay.
And then, so they're on the
Boundaries
road.
are good. Boundaries are good.
Yeah.
That's great.
They're on the road for a while. We see Ezra getting worse and worse. And then all of a sudden we get to Salisbury and realize there's no court there anymore because, once again, messy drama happening in Salisbury. Something happened politically where there was like half the town was revolutionary and half the town were royalists, and they just fucking were like, fuck this, and like all law went away. So there's no court there.
Oh shit.
You
And
can
now they're
tell
like-
that Richard Brown is peeved.
Pissed. But now he's like, well, guess we have to ride to Wilmington another 10 days. And
one of
then
the
we're
other
in the
dudes
wagon.
is like, no, but what about Cross Creek? We could go to Cross Creek. And the less cool Brown or less shitty Brown is like, well, but no, you stupid fucking idiot, you big moron. Why don't you know everything about everyone here? That's where his aunt lives. His aunt, his
Jocasta.
friend, with the judge. No, we can't go to Cross Creek. What the fuck is wrong with you? Get it together. Come on. What is the deal? It's an unnecessarily long exchange. But they can't go to Cross Creek. They have to go to Wilmington.
And Jamie hears this happen. And immediately the soldier in him and the leader of men in him goes to Claire, like, guess what? Everybody hates that asshole. It's only a matter of time. And what was the note? Jamie explains the Moby Dick situation with Brown's men.
Totally.
He's like,
Yep.
it's only a matter of time before some fissures happen here, and it's gonna crack apart in some way or another. So we just have to hang on and see how it shakes out. And then he's got to take a piss. And I've got to say, my favorite note that came across the crowdcast came in this moment. Why is Jamie always running into people when he's taking a piss?
He really is. So somebody escorts him out to take a whiz, and meanwhile there's some pugilism happening in the background. And the guard is obviously very into the pugilism. So he looks at Jamie, and he looks at the fist fighting, and he looks at Jamie, and he says, "You're not going to run off while your wife's in there," and just leaves him. Which turns out to be a wrong move, because Jamie takes his dick out, looks up into the woods, and straight into the eyes of his nephew.
Ian is right there. So we missed one tiny little thing that was just a throwaway, which was Ian coming back to the ridge after they'd all left and Lizzie running out and telling him. So Ian and his people are hiding. And Ian's like right there, like, what do we need to do? And Jamie's like, whizzing, just
He's like,
looking
"Look,
directly into
like-
the trees, like, you need to hold off for right now. I think you'll know. Just stay with me. Like, follow us, just don't get caught, right?
Yeah.
So we know that Ian is out there in the woods.
God.
Ian is clutch. It's Ian time.
Ian is always on time.
That's awesome.
Ian is clutch, and he's just like, I got you. We're here. No one's going to know we're here because we're extremely good at our job. So we'll just be here, and if you need us, you just say the word. We'll be here. It's a very nice little scene, and John Bell is very good in it. It's like brief, but real.
Oh, it was Kristen. I'm sorry. It was Kristen. It wasn't Amanda. Kristen's the one that's like, Jamie meets so many people when he's taking a piss.
Yeah, he really does.
Well, his milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Nope, that's not what that is.
Milkshake stick.
Although, you know what?
His stir
He
stick.
does have the pecs.
He
Yeah.
does. We did miss the. I was too busy thinking about Ian coming to save him. This in between here, there's another Roger and Brianna scene. Once again, I was like, ugh, okay, fine. But this one is the most important one, in my opinion. So they find out that Jimmy's got lice and they got to shave his head. Bree retains her amazing haircut skills.
Chekhov's itch.
And then he done this, and then that's where the mole is, that Roger also has the same mole.
There's this very cute moment where Bree covers Jimmy's ears and looks at Roger. It's a very human little moment. Looks at Roger and she goes, he had such beautiful hair. It's very cute. But Jemmy has a cute little haircut, and they're so excited. They're having a nice chat about there's this big thing, and Bree gets worried that it's a mole. Do they need to be worried about it? And Roger says, no. I have one of those. It's hereditary. I got one right here. He's fine. It's hereditary. And Bree just sort of looks at him like, Roger. And he's like, what? It's hereditary. It's hereditary.
No.
And then Richard Rankin kicks the shit out of this. First of all, beautiful hair. I don't know if that's his hair or that's a wig, but that is some good. We get a good choice shot of the Roger hair.
Yes, and I wrote R.I.P. Roger's hair because he's about to get a haircut too, and it was
because
very sad.
he Richard Rankin, great little moment. He looks at him and he's like, "Oh, that's so weird. I think I've got lace too," and makes Brianna cut his hair because, like father, like son, I've got lace too. But really, he just wants to be able to see his birthmark, so they both have. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice little moment. That is some straight from the books shit. It happens in the big house when it happens in the books. I thought we've passed the point where that scene happens, so I had thought it was not going to happen at all. And I was really so. The note that I took is we can have a little birthmark as a treat, because it's a nice little moment. It's the one nice thing that happens in this, and other than the pleasant vacation fucking. It's the one nice thing that happens in this entire episode. It's the one. That's one. You get one. And it's that little moment.
And
Good
then
job, Richard Rankin. Good job, Sophie Skelton.
that night is when Jamie sees Ian in the woods, so we know that everything's afoot with the Sin wagon train and that there's backup. And then we get this scene where they're riding the Conestoga wagon through what looks like a mud town. Like, what the fuck is that?
Some kind of settlement. It's what a normal ridge looks like when you haven't taken your labor and put it all towards making a mansion.
It looks like what the serfs look like in old Monty Python sketches. Like, they're just wallowing in mud and throwing it on each other. That's kind of what it looks like. But Les Shitty Brown doesn't take this as these people aren't going to get rabble-roused, and he just starts screaming, "Here she is in the wagon! Mistress Fraser, the witch! And guess what that does? Rouse him up.
You think he would have picked up on the fact that maybe he's lost control of the situation, but no, he hasn't.
No,
because
not yet.
then
After this,
bargain rate Clive Owen starts up. Don't worry, folks. Your committee of safety is gonna.
Yeah, we're gonna take her to Wilmington and see her hanged, and then
Don't
all
you
the
worry.
people start throwing rocks and dirt clods at the wagon. And there's an attack on the wagon. Claire punches a dude in the face. Bam! He's out. They're trying to protect each other inside the wagon from all the rocks and shit. They make it
Real
through.
quick, I love that moment so much, and I just want to highlight one little detail, which is the way that the shot is set up. You see a guy trying to climb through the side of the wagon, and then you see a hand pop him in the face. And as the hand pops back, we see that it's Claire's hand because I assumed it was Jamie. And then it comes back, it's like, boom! No, she clacked him really good. But they're both getting hit. Jamie is shielding her with his body and trying to cover his head at the same time, but things are still hitting Claire. It's very scary.
And then
here comes
Tom Christie. Tom Christie shoots a gun in the air. Let's think about who Tom Christie is for a second. And he shot a gun to stop
the most
everybody.
Self-righteous dude in the history of this show full of self-righteous people pulls a gun to get people to chill the fuck out because now his name is on the line too. I mean, obviously his primary concern is for the well-being of these people who obviously he has a very complicated relationship with both of them.
Yeah.
But none of that seems to matter right now because he's just trying to do the right fucking thing. And they're making it really hard. And at this point, Richard Brown is like, come on, you guys.
Come on, we're almost there. God, what a fucking piece of shit.
And then Jamie and Claire are having a nice little chat about punching people and not breaking your hand while you're doing it. There's a very cute moment where she says, "How have you punched all these people and not broken your hand?" And he says, "Your hand's not broken, Sassenach." She says, "How do you know it's not? I'm the physician." She says, "Because if you'd be white and puking instead of red and crabbit."
Crabbit.
And she says, "Crabbit my arse." And he kind of looks at her. She says, "Okay, maybe I'm crabby." It's great. It's a great little scene. Crabbit my arse. So they have this nice little chat and they're tending to their wounds. And then Jamie notices that Les Shitty Brown has traveled away and come back with a mystery friend. So they're on alert, but maybe they're not enough on alert.
Mm-hmm. So they stop for water. Jamie gets out of the sin wagon to go get a sip because they tell him to go get some. And then Claire tries to get out and they don't let her out. And that should have been Jamie just turning right around and getting right back in the wagon, right? No.
Oh,
So here's their chance, right? So 5 dudes descend on Jamie and grab him and stop him, and then the wagon takes off. So they're dragging Claire alone to Wilmington.
Oh no.
It's heartrending. She clearly thinks this is the last time they're ever going to see each other.
Yeah.
They're both screaming. It's rough. And the wagon there are people holding her back, and the wagon just takes off.
And this also happens right after we see Ezra actually die. So
Ezra
now
falls off the horse.
Right before this, Ezra falls off the horse. So now she's got better than Ezra being dead on her ass. And then they're taking her at the wagon.
Maybe that's how they decided it was time because they were
it was
like,
time
hey,
to separate them.
Hey, Ezra's about to die. Let's wait when he falls. That's when we know it's time for us to do this. Like it was like
I wouldn't put it past these buttholes.
Alexa, set a timer for when Ezra's dead.
Then we get a voiceover. Allison, we did not need this voiceover because everything that she says in the voiceover we were already living.
I yelled, "No, narration!" And then I got really interested in whether or not I want to go back and check the rest of the narration this season because it seems like maybe we get the narration when Jamie's gone.
Oh, interesting.
Because it was very jarring. It was like out of nowhere, but it was as soon as Jamie and Claire were separated. And it's just Claire talking about how she is afraid that Jamie has died. And they're making their way through the woods and she's screaming and making a fuss. And then who comes trotting up galloping on horseback? But Tom Christie. And Claire's like, "No, stay with Jamie. Stay with Jamie. What the fuck?" And I would like to say this. It's maybe my one writing note for the whole episode. I believe that Claire is concerned, but I don't believe for a second, that Claire Fraser thinks that Jamie needs Tom Christie to stand up for him. As Tom says, your husband can take care of himself. I don't know if you noticed this, Claire, but they brought like 20 guys because Your
He could
husband
take
is,
10.
is a superhero / serial killer. So he's going to be okay. And also, there are all kinds of people. They hate you, but there are all kinds of people who would be very mad if somebody murdered Jamie Fraser. Also, you counted his lives. He's got plenty left. Come on, get it together.
They get to Wilmington, and it looks like Wilmington has its own fucking problems, and Claire is just another one on the bus. There's shit on fire in the streets. It's clear there's been
Graffiti.
unrest, graffiti. It's clear
cool.
the Sons of Liberty obviously have been through here.
Yeah,
And so
we
it's like,
only get little glimpses of it from the back of the wagon. Like, we're back to Claire's perspective, not exclusively, but very frequently. And Tom is there, and he's just he said something earlier about like the only way I can keep you safe is if I never let you out of my sight.
Mm-hmm.
They show up at the jail, they walk her in,
And her hand was that shot in the jail from the preview that we didn't know who it was earlier.
Claire's
Remember
hands.
the
Oh,
preview?
yeah, yeah.
That was her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she goes walking through the jail, and we pass by a woman who's clearly washing herself and somebody else who looks really diminished. And then Claire gets in her cell, and then all of a sudden we hear one of them go, pop, squish. No, this is a Cell Block Tango joke. Lip shits. He had it coming. No. Just the merry murderesses of Wilmington.
There's also a dude in there. There's the dude that's staring at her. Remember,
Yeah.
we kind of see him from the back. So it's an equal opportunity jail, is what we're saying.
Yeah. But she gets ushered into her jail cell. Tom Christie tries to hand her. It's one of these episodes, guys.
Nice.
It's just water, but still.
Was that her medical bag? Her bag?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Tom Christie tries to hand her bag, and the warden or whoever is like, nope, and just takes it. And there's a lot of menacing bullshit said by everybody involved. They all leave except for Tom, who stays. And once everybody is pieced out, he hands her a bag of money through the bars and says, for your upkeep. Like, clearly he's setting her up to bribe the guards. And it's he is
He knows
concerned.
something. Man.
He's concerned.
Interesting.
It is worrisome.
And then, not as worrisome as Jamie tied to a pole on the beach, which is where we go next.
Oh, because he says, your husband, at one point Lionel is like, your husband isn't being taken anywhere, but he's being sent home. This is important to know.
That is important.
And Tom Christie says, like, listen, your husband is fine. He can take care of himself. I promise you, he is A-okay. You don't need to worry about him. You worry about you, hun. And then we get a POV shot of Jamie, the bag being lifted off his head, and there's bargain rate Clive Owen staring at him, being like, your wife's gonna die. And being a butthead. And then he says, listen, you're fine. You're just gonna go on back to Scotland. See that boat?
And see that boat? And I'm like, no more boats!
Fuck.
So this guy that showed up, the secret guy in the blue coat that we were like, who's this motherfucker? This dude with a boat that's going back to Edinburgh like that day. So Richard Brown had bribed him to throw Jamie on this boat and take it back to Scotland, taking him home.
Shit.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, what do we think is going to happen, Janine?
Well, Jamie is also Aquaman, so he's going to call for help from dolphins. And
that would be great. But no,
Yeah.
Here we've already had Chekhov's lice. We've had Chekhov's ointment.
yeah.
Now, Chekhov's a nephew. So all of a sudden,
Dude tries
Arrow
to
comes-
threaten him, arrow, boom, that guy's dead. All the guys are like, what the fuck? And then arrows everywhere. Bam, 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 dead.
So
dead,
we've got
dead,
Ian.
dead.
Yeah.
We've got Ian. We've got John Quincy Myers, somebody else who's clutch.
Yeah.
Shout out JQM. And then a bunch of First Nations people. Specifically, what is
Chief
the
Bird,
character's
who
name?
sings in the morning.
Chief Bird? It's Chief Bird who sings in the morning. Is there as well and is like making eye contact with Jamie. But then, oh no, we hear a fowling piece click. And turns out bargain rate Clive Owen is holding a gun on Jamie. He's got, and there's a tense standoff, but he's obviously outnumbered. And Jamie says, "No, Ian, do not shoot him. He knows where Claire is." Beat, beat, beat. Maybe best line reading of the season. John Bell says, "So do we, Uncle." And then the dude sticks out his hand, and a bullet goes through his hand, and his hand falls away, and we've seen it also goes through his eye. It is the coolest shot.
Wow.
I can't wait for you to see this shit, Janine. It's a very cool shot.
And it was Chief Bird Who Sings in the Morning that did it.
Oh,
I
awesome.
told you I would fight with you, bear
I told
killer.
you I'd fight with you, bear killer. And it's like,
Fuck
to-
yeah.
It's like your
excuse me.
shit. Like
It was pure, absolutely Pan's Labyrinth. I have one note about this, which Chief Bird Who Sings in the Morning, respect. You are very cool. I'm so glad that you're in this season. But Jamie did not kill a bear. He killed a man dressed in a bear suit. I'm just
it's a
saying.
note. It's a note.
It's an inaccurate nickname.
So that's the end of
Work
the
on it.
fucking episode. It is
And
a
then that's
cliffhanger.
it.
That's a really good like kind of end moment though.
Claire's in fucking jail,
so do-
yo.
So do
We gotta
Uncle.
wait a whole year to see what the fuck happens with Claire.
This is kind of how I felt at the end of Severance, where I was like, "What the fuck? That was the last one? Fuck!"
We love I love a really good cliffhanger, especially when you don't have to worry about whether or not the show is coming back.
Yeah,
Which we
it's true.
don't. We already know we're getting a season 7. So and also, I will say this. Yes, it's a cliffhanger, but Jamie is now with Ian and John Quincy Myers and a bunch of very dangerous, extremely well-armed, thanks being an Indian agent, First Nations people. So yes, we're not sure what's going to happen to Claire, but we can be reasonably sure that she's not going to die because Jamie is now not one dude. He's one dude and a bunch of other very lethal dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Ian might be better at killing people than his uncle is, y'all. He's very good at killing people.
Mm-hmm.
So do
So-
we, Uncle. What a good fucking response.
So do we.
to that.
It's so
Oh.
casual. It's a really good line reading. I was like, yeah. So do we,
Oh.
Uncle. Bam, dead. And you see this guy go, "Oh shit." Nope, that's it. That's all she wrote.
Mhm.
It's great. It's a really great moment.
Oh man.
And that's the finale. That's it.
Wow.
Mhm.
I really thought we were going to get farther in this story, and I'm glad that we didn't. Actually, I think it was the right place to break it because this episode gave us way more hot piss than I was expecting.
Yes.
Way more. Lots
Yes.
of hot piss.
Lots of hot piss in the fucking standoff between Claire and Jamie, and then also like lots of hot piss in the wagon between Claire and Jamie. So it was effective.
And then Bree and Roger also all hot piss.
yes.
Mm.
And one cold piss because it looked like it was pretty chilly when Jamie was taking that leak.
But then it got real hot when his nephew showed up. Like,
Ian.
thank God. Ugh,
Clutch.
Ian. Who do you call the platinum pamplemousse for this episode? Dude,
We already gave it away, didn't we?
we gave it to the
No,
fuck
that
hinge.
was a fuck hinge. That's here's what I'll say. We don't need to give the fuck hinge the platinum pamplemousse. What we can just say is the sex scale is unnecessary because this episode, while it was not about the sex, had two of the best and I don't mean best in terms of hottest. I mean best made, like well shot,
Through
well
line
acted.
story, acting.
Yeah,
right.
story, and then also hot. Two of the best sex scenes the show's ever done, I think. Not the flashiest, and not the sexiest, but just like really, really well done sex scenes. It's reminded me of one of the reasons why I love this show in the first place. But early on, some of those sex scenes were like, here you go, here's some fucking. This didn't feel like that at all. This was not fan service. It was totally justified by the story and really, really effective. So, fuck Hinge gets like an MVP shout out, and also the boning scale is unnecessary because it was great and it was totally justified. This episode could not have existed the way that it did without those sex scenes.
I found the name of the intimacy coordinator,
Yes,
Great.
please.
Vanessa Coffey.
Hey, Vanessa. Thank you. Miss Coffee.
Vanessa.
Good
Yeah,
work.
Great job.
Miss Coffee, she knows a thing or two about cream.
Oh,
wow.
That is a semen joke.
Wow.
Guys, I'm feeling a little punchy. All right, so no sex scale. Before we get to the Platinum Pampa Moose, let's talk about costumes real briefly. I love Claire's coat and Bree's coat. I'm very into the ladies' wear this season. I also want to shout out the costume designer for the completely unnecessary leather capelet, because on the off chance that dude had not looked like bargain rate Clive Owen, I would have not been able to tell any of those also rans apart.
You're right.
It was a useful leather capelet. Well done. So the scale, let's see, from drunk history during the Revolutionary War to Disney Plus presents Hamilton, an American musical. Where do we fall for the costumes in this episode?
I don't
John
know.
Adams miniseries starring Laura Linney.
Yes. Yes. Amelia.
Yes.
Perfect. Agreed.
Speaking of clutch, way to go, Amelia. All right. And then the getting up to get a beer scale. While
I had
this
to
was
pee
not,
so bad. I had to pee so bad for the whole last 20 minutes, and I did not get up.
yeah.
So
See, I had the Crowdcast on, so when I had to pee real bad, I could listen to Allison's audio and then
Oh,
just
no, I couldn't.
frantically pee and then run back to my living room. So, like,
you could.
just saying, join the Crowdcast, folks.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Podlandercast.
Oh, look at that marketing.
Pair it with a
It's,
Bluetooth speaker and carrying it with you to the toilet.
There you go.
That way you two can be sitting on the toilet and then you can hear me go, God, that guy is really good, which is pretty much all I said during the podcast about one Mark Lewis Jones, which I think brings us to
Platinum
Pampa Moose.
Yes, yes.
This is a debate, folks, because there are lots of candidates. So I want to hear if there are alternate opinions. But for me, he is the obvious Platinum Pampa Moose for this episode. As
so
good
Christine.
as
Yes.
all of our main players are, and they're very good.
Yes.
That's
Because-
he carries the whole without doing much of anything, carries the whole episode. Truly. From the second he showed up, I was always aware of where he was and what was going on with him.
Exactly. He is conveying that with such minimum effort that he has some sort of knowledge or some sort of crusade that he is on that he cannot reveal. Like you can just feel it waving off of him without him really doing a lot. And that is skill.
Skill. Yes.
Like,
And,
Janine, if we
and
haven't-
wisdom.
Okay. And wisdom.
No,
like,
go
there's
ahead.
this moment, Janine, that I feel like if we brought it up, we need to talk about it again because I'm still like actively haunted by it. It's somewhere in the like Oregon Trail journey where.
Oh,
Tom
yeah. By the way,
Christie's-
Janine, they try to ford the river. Why?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
They did, but they made it
God
across.
damn it.
They
They
made
got a
it, but
witch
it was
to burn.
Doi. Hello.
right. Amelia,
There's a
you were
moment
saying.
where Tom Christie is clearly he's been up for days, weeks, months, I don't know. And he does like kind of like inverse jacting where he's awake. It's not like he's asleep on his horse. He is still like clinging to consciousness, but there's something about how like his whole neck disappears and his eyes are bloodshot and he's just trying to like be there and still be in
Bear
the game
witness.
that is
Yeah.
so upsetting. It
Yeah.
is so upsetting. And that alone, it's his inverse jacting alone that gets him the pamplemousse for me. But like, Janine, when you skim through this episode looking for butts, look for inverse jacting.
Oh, that's a read.
Excellent fucking note.
Well,
Just,
I'm
like,
looking.
quickly cool those loins and then fire them back up again. It's fine.
I'm looking for the full hinge. Don't worry. Like,
You know what? MVPs for this episode, outside of Platinum Pamplemousse, the fuck hinge and the neck hinge.
those are great.
Not to be confused with the Mitch McConnell face
No.
we did earlier.
Mitch
Very different.
McConnell.
Very different.
Murder turtle.
Murder turtle.
Murder turtle.
Good
You know
God.
what? We're not going to call him the less shitty brown anymore. Murder turtle. That's
Murder Turtle is on. New nickname has been created today.
Murder turtle. And it's great because if you say it with the face he makes, it sounds perfect. Murder
Murder
turtle.
turtle.
Murder turtle. probably the best new nickname since Coinface. That's a keeper.
It's pretty good.
Good job,
That's a good
everybody.
Oh my.
That's a good one. Okay. We will talk about this more in our live episode next week, and then we'll probably do one or more on the one episode or a couple more on this season post live show because there's a lot to talk about. And frankly, I am so gratified to feel like, wow, there's a lot to say about this season of Outlander because
Yes.
that hasn't always been
Yes.
true recently.
That is
It's
so
like-
true.
There have always been good episodes. There have always been good performances. There have always been things to discuss, but I haven't always wanted to. Like, I can intellectually say, Never My Love is a very well-made episode of television. I didn't want to talk about it at all.
Nope.
This, like, it's upsetting, but I'm so excited to keep talking about this show, and it's been a while. It's been a while since I felt that way. And I really do.
It's given me hardcore season 2 vibes.
Mm.
In that I keep uncut. We forgot to mention, by the way, fucking Fergus started a paper and named it The Onion. I want you to know
The
that's
Onion.
real.
And that's in the book, so I don't think it is actually a shout out. But
But you know what?
That-
What if
it's
it
the
is?
Onion
I love
But it's
it
the onion.
because
because it has layers.
It
yeah,
has
because
layers.
it has layers.
So that's what I was saying. There are layers to this that make me think more, make me want to talk more, make me want to like try to parse it out more. Whereas like maybe last season or the season before, I was just kind of like, meh, like I didn't care as much.
Well, you know what? And we'll talk about this next week too, but the thing that this season has done that I think has made it the most successful is it's a lot less hand-holdy than almost any season of the show since season 2.
I agree.
There's more trust in the audience, and there's more trust in the actors. Which is good because you've got to really, and you know who got better this season because they were being given more trust? Literally everyone. Everybody in this cast either was as good as they've always been, like Katrina, or although I do think maybe her best episode in the show is in this season, but I mean, she's as good as she's always been. This was Sam's best season. For sure. I think this was Dan Boy's best season, and then even though we didn't see much of him, definitely John Bell's best season.
Yes.
Probably Sophie's best season. Not Richard's best season, but that's only because he had so much to do last season. That's just opportunity. We get very little of Jocasta, but she's great. Like everybody is really good this season because they gave these actors the opportunity to really craft a performance and not just check boxes.
Yes.
I wonder too, like, not to like, but also they shot this season after pandemic stuff, right?
Yeah, this is the COVID season, which again, shout out to Tall Ship Productions. They made a point of calling this out at New York Comic Con. They had not one COVID outbreak the entire time they were shooting
Good on
this
them.
season. So good for them. Cheers to all of the like COVID officers and all of the protocol, whatever they did, it worked. And thank you to those people for keeping their artists safe.
Yeah.
So that we can enjoy stories like that. We can enjoy our stories, our special
Yeah.
lady programs without having to feel guilty about it in that
Yeah.
respect. So salute.
And
Well
I think
done.
that also says a lot too for given that extra level of circumstance, like them still being able to still feel
Yes.
comfortable and take it to the next level. Like there's a lot to say about that for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will keep talking about it, but for now, I think it's time to say goodbye. Brief reminder, we already said it a couple times, but May 7th, The Oasis. Rogers Park's The Oasis here in Chicago at 11:59 a.m. because it's not even noon.
God's
And I should also mention God's tooth. I should also mention
I need to know that I've said God's tooth to myself every time I've opened a beer before noon since you have announced the live show. It's more than once. And every time I've said into my refrigerator, God's tooth.
I should say there's no need to show up before 11:59. The show is not going to start at 11:59. The Oasis opens at noon. I was just physically incapable of resisting that joke. So just show up at noon. But we'll be there before it's noon. Because it's not even noon. But please come join us. It should be really fun. And then the Kentucky Derby is happening, so bring a ridiculous hat and watch it at the O.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Podlandercast. You can find us on Twitter at Podlandercast. Also Sickburn Jane. You can find us on Instagram at Podlandercast, Podlander Presents, and Sickburn Jane, where if you go follow Sickburn Jane, you can see some little glimpses of when one Amelia Buzzell and I traveled to the Bridgerton experience.
Wonderful experience. That looked like fun.
It was
Indeed.
stupid. We had
so
the best time.
stupid.
We had a really good time.
We loved it.
Um,
It was so stupid.
Yeah, it was really. We had a great time. It was so dumb. Bless him for being so dumb because it was enjoyable. You can find us on all of those places and follow along. We'll do Instagram Live at the bar next week too, so that's a good reason to hop on into Instagram and go to Podlandercast, where you can occasionally, apparently, witness our joy at being inexplicably shared by Lauren Lyle. That was fun.
That was fun.
Shout out, Lauren.
Fucking A, Marsley. We love you forever.
Lauren, if you're listening, you rule. We love you. We
You
love you,
rule.
girl. We love you, girl. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Podlander Drunkcast, where you can support the show, get access to our crowdcasts like the one that we did today, get early access to episodes, get bonus episodes. We have a very special Janine's Corner coming up where, for book readers, I spoil something that happens in Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone for Janine, since he was departing and may or may not be available when we record the episode in which this thing will happen. If you've read the book and you've ever listened to the podcast, you know exactly what thing I'm talking about. So look forward to that. Frankly, if you want to join the Patreon for 1 month and pay $1 just to hear that single Janine's Corner, that would be a valuable use of your time and money. It's a fun one. And other things. You can join the Slack. We love you, Slackers. Thank you for hanging out with us on the Crowdcast today. We want to thank all of our patrons, all of them, each and every one, even the ones who only joined for $1 for 1 month to listen to that one episode, but especially the following wonderful people. Kelly Armstrong, Sydney Taylor, BG, Just Bree, Caswell156, Maddie Perkins, Snazzy Lisa Brienne, Julia Gulia, Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Emily Day, Betsy English, Caitlin Reddick, Jen Collins, Ashley Teagas, and Tina Barnett, Nicole Rodriguez, Kristen Freckle Fury, Laura Colma, Amelia Buzzell, Liz, Ann Tinkerbell, Stella Welch, Tori Halligan, Claire Fina, Rochelle Lefevre, Jerry hold on. Murder Turtle, Jerry Hurdle, Emily Carlson, Amy Gustafson, Rachel Townsend, Kelly Mazzella, Chantel Soldiers, Mary the Falling Statue, Tara Lucchino, Viv Pickles, a.k.a. Laura, Mary of the Grapefruit, Jen Polkowski, Ed Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Kara Marlowe, Trish McCurry, Julie Detroit, Jen Lynn, Kelly Bodden, Manu Dan Geeky. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and talking, listen to us ramble about this great season of Outlander. We will be talking about it more next week at the Oasis. Come hang out with us or just listen to it when it publishes. We'll be back. Bye.
Bye.